I'm Rahana Power.
And today we have, Julie, I didn't get your last name. Julie Koehnen, is that right?
No.
Okay, see?
It's Koehnen.
Koehnen.
Even, I mean, it's spelled Koehnen, but don't say it like that. Because you got to be Dutch to say that.
Yeah, right. So it is Koehnen.
Just say Koehnen, yeah, that's totally correct.
We're going to keep that in, my mistake. So
It's okay. I would have done the same thing. So, I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah. People are
if
like,
anything.
Yeah, Koehnen. I get everything.
Koehnen.
I hate that. Really hate that. I can't live with that.
Yeah. You don't want to be a late night talk show host?
Koehnen. O'Brien.
Koehnen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely feel you on that. So,
So Julie, I'm really just getting to know you for the first time, and vice versa. So, I guess, like, I noticed on your IMDb you have some history in editing. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Just kind of a brief, where you come from, maybe?
I was born, and I feel a very long story coming on about that.
it was a rainy afternoon.
Yeah. I just started. I had some technical skills, and I was like, what can I do out here? Some things that I had planned weren't working, so all of a sudden I was had all these opportunities to go into reality TV, and that's just because there's so much footage. You just need so many editors. And so I was like, I was ready, and I got lucky right away. I was hired by MTV on Taking the Stage.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like completely frightened. But it helped me learn Avid, and that was a really important editing system to learn if you wanted to be in television and film back then. And that helped me to stay in reality TV, and I worked on a lot of shows you would recognize, like Deadliest Catch. I did a little bit on that because they were under the same production company, but it was like Storage Wars, Deadliest Catch, Wild Justice. I mean, then something about hoggers, which I worked on mostly, which was horrifying. But then finally, when it was time to make the jump to being an editor, I just wasn't breaking into narrative. It's a pretty closed industry, where these editors go around for their entire career with one assistant editor. You can meet a 50-year-old assistant editor who's never had a chance, because he's got such a successful, editor. So, it's just very difficult. So I found I was starting to become interested in filmmaking, and I wanted to cut back my hours. And so I went into the NFL Network as an editor. And that was just a normal corporate day, just 8 hours a day. So anybody out there listening that's in production or post, that's unheard of in the entertainment industry. And then, I have a little thing about football, so I was able to work there.
What's your football story?
Well, just that I know what's going on. They were relying on these little geniuses that sat with us, these producers. It's super competitive, and these guys could tell you who this guy was without his helmet on. I mean, they knew the full rosters, the depth of the bench. I didn't have to know that much, but I still had to know what they were talking about when they said something to me,
Right.
So
you're like an avid NFL fan too, or do you just vaguely enjoy the sport? Occasionally.
I'm like any Minnesotan who grew up with the Vikings. It's a love-hate, and I've walked away for over a decade, and I was never going to watch again, and I was sick of it. Losers. Made me feel like a loser. Yeah. And but then, when I was at the NFL, I just got really all sucked back in again, and I just was like, why can't I love the Patriots? Why is it the Vikings?
Yeah.
And they were going through some really exciting times. And Sam Bradford, and he was going to save the day, and Teddy was hurt, and it was like a great soap opera, really. And then it all just kind of wah-wah.
Yeah, it got dramatic there for a minute.
It did.
There was a lot going on.
Teddy wasn't allowed to throw the ball. It was going to only be a running game, so he didn't.
Yep.
It was really, that whole kind of 3-4 years there. It was interesting.
Yeah.
And then the backup quarterback, and it's like the Minneapolis Miracle, it's just...
Is that, what's his name, Carson? God, who was our guy that took us so far that went to Denver? Not Carson. Oh my God. Somebody Google.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on him? I know Stephon Diggs caught the ball.
All three of us are blanking on it.
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum.
Yes, Case Keenum. And we didn't re-sign any of them, and I was kind of like just done with that. And I'm sure there was some technical reason why we couldn't, but I was just done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed a little odd to me that they didn't re-sign him. Like, he's not that good. Like, he just got you further than you've been in a long time. Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. And isn't there something to be said for magic? Like, statistically, whatever, on paper, like, maybe these people don't look as strong individually, but together they had magic. And I feel like you can't sneeze at that or snort at that. I don't even know what's the term, but you have to... I mean, I even feel that in filmmaking. Like, it's not like my expertise that's going to get us there. There's just kind of this magic that happens, and when it's happening, you got to just ride that wave.
Alan, can I jump into my favorite question of the day? All right. I didn't want to step on feet, but I get really excited about this question. So Julie, can you tell me? I just get real serious. About a special talent, something funny, interesting, maybe something weird about you that others might know about, or maybe you kind of keep it on the DL a little bit, and I'm asking you to share it with the world instead.
I know, I'm sitting here thinking, what can I do? I'm like, I'll tell you one thing that is definitely on the down low that nobody knows, but I can make a shot. I can be anywhere in my house and there's a garbage can and I can make it. And I don't really know what that's about. And it doesn't really translate onto the basketball court, but paper, gum, whatever, I can always get. I can get it in the waste can.
I like it.
Yeah. I like it.
Thank you.
That is not something I can do. So that is a special talent in my eyes. Absolutely.
I'm above 50% on my, makeshift shots, so.
Al's got a chalkboard and he just tallies. All day.
I like basketball. I mean, Steph Curry. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Do you have a 3-point line drawn around every...
It's always half, quarter, nothing. Yeah.
For me, it's just if I'm in some kind of spastic move, I wasn't planning on doing it, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I can throw it, and I throw it, and I'm off balance, and did I make it?
Yeah.
The fall back, just.
Yeah. It's got to have drama.
I love it.
Well, absolutely. Got to make it fun. So, you spent a lot of time editing on these different shows and for the NFL Network. How did you transition that and really get started in film itself?
I hired myself.
Love it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's that catch-22. You can't get any experience until you have experience. So I just started to try to edit. I mean, I was already getting extremely distracted at the NFL, and I was already realizing I couldn't outrun this deep desire I had for filmmaking as much as I felt like I shouldn't be doing it. I really felt like it was, I had a lot of Minnesota stuff, that's not a responsible way to make a living, and that's too chancy. And also, because of my age, I was I was not exposed to female filmmakers, so I just felt like a unicorn. And I was just you got to keep your head down, you got a good deal going here with the editing, but I just started to really want to make film, and so I started to, every 2 or 3 years, it felt like I had busted out and made a little short film, and then I made another short film, and I edited that. And I mean, I have to say too, when you're in reality TV, you do what's called string outs, so that your editor isn't digging through all the footage and you're here, I've listened to this footage, I cut it down, this is what I think the scene is about. and you start to understand scene structure, the act structure. So I mean, that was definitely a huge thing. And then just also watching that much TV, you know what I mean? Like that was my job. So I'm sitting there watching cuts. So I'm becoming extremely knowledgeable in that way. And then like some of the finer points, I feel like I'm still learning. You know, editing, there's just so much to learn, and a lot about confidence. I really have to work a lot on confidence.
Yeah. I mean, editing your own films is, I don't know. How do you feel about that? You know, it's like the first rough cut, you know, like getting to that point after you've worked so hard to put together the production, and then it's like this is what you have, you know. What are your feelings about that? I think I'm amazing.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, will you look at this? Oh my God. I almost had a stroke over the Steadicam shot in Master Servant. I was just like, oh God, I could not believe how beautiful that looked, and how that scene came together. And I always feel like, oh my God, this is incredible.
That's excellent. That's great.
And maybe
that's the best kind of reaction.
And maybe, I'll have to say I had 2 films really bad. My visuals have always been way ahead of my ability to tell story. And so I have 2 films, you know, where people would want to work with me because the films looked good, but, you know, it would be really disappointing for all of us to watch all that work. And, you know, I had not told a good story. Yeah, so I definitely remember, and I was actually telling somebody, because we just had the screening for Awakening, and people were extremely excited and happy and stayed around all night and talked to each other. And I was talking about how I actually had a screening once, and people were so excited because it was such a big deal. I had done such a big production, and it was not good, and it was kind of like, bye, and everybody just kind of floated away afterwards.
Aw.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that going through that experience makes you extra like aware of what you really want to maybe pinpoint on the next project in order to get that different reaction, though.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, I mean, you guys have been listening to filmmakers all year, right? 2 years, 3 years, 2018.
Wow. Yeah.
So you know it's a craft. I mean,
oh yeah.
There's nobody that starts out great. You just have to keep doing it, and it's just hard that it's such a painful, you know, expensive craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, I'm not there anymore, and I'm in a new place, and I'm having a really good time in the new place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was your first film, first short film that you've done?
I did a short film inside of the UCLA directing workshop, and people were really just not interested in putting their projects together at the end, you know, and it wasn't really necessary for a good grade. And I was, oh, we're putting this together. I have no film that is unfinished. And oh my God, I tried to stuff like a screenplay into a short film. It was like, I had no respect for the genre, that it's just completely different. It's not a screenplay. It's not a shortened version of your screenplay. It's its own genre, and it doesn't work. I mean, I just had this actor delivering all this exposition, and I mean, it's just paragraph after paragraph, and you're like, this is a visual medium. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just, he was such a trooper.
What was that film called?
I'm not gonna.
Oh, you're not going to talk about that one.
Well, you know, Jeremy Bandow over at is it Metro State? Is that how you say it? He had he actually selected it for last year for a festival, and it was called Your First Film.
Oh.
And it's Shades of Grey.
Oh, that's right. He did have something like
and
that.
I actually I didn't watch it down before I sent it off. And what I ended up sending to him was a rough cut with 3 endings, you know, my selections for the ending. Then we're sitting at the big, you know, film space, and people are there, and we're all watching the big screen. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I am so embarrassed. He was so sweet about it, but he thought I was just, I don't know, he was open. He's like, I just thought you were trying to do something, or I thought the audience would learn from this. Or I was like, it was really weird. I mean,
okay,
3 different versions of that ending, how I could have cut it.
Right.
One after the other.
And they're just all out there. They're just all, here you go.
Yeah. And then, the music's not even correct. I'm not even sure if there was music. I know there was no audio dialogue editing. I mean, it was just right away. I was like, what is this? What am I watching? You're like...
So it wasn't even the final version of your first film. It was like,
no.
This will eventually be my first film. And everyone thought, this is her first film?
I don't know. He's so generous. He is so generous in spirit. You know what I mean? Everybody was so kind. I really wanted to crawl under the seats. Everybody was super kind. And it was a lot of female filmmakers, and they were just really was nice. But it was really humiliating. And it taught me never send anything out without watching it down, even if you think you know what it is.
Good point. I should review a lot of stuff right now.
I actually almost did that last night. I had somebody kind of big. It was requesting a script, and I was very sure, completely sure that this was the final draft. And I was having all these problems, and all of a sudden I just started to glance around at it. I don't even know what it was. I think it was the universe, my higher power. And I was like, oh my God, I almost sent an unfinished, this was like in the middle of a rewrite I had picked. I don't know why. I mean, I had to go, I finally found the real one, but I almost really, you got to be careful. You've got to. So I just spent, a couple hours rereading the whole thing, making sure nothing was weird. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's just my side story about check your work.
Yeah.
100%.
Can you tell us about your most recent film work, and maybe how did that become a film you wanted to make?
Oh my God, well, here we go. You're going to be sitting there for 45 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to really try to tell this very long story very short, very quickly. But I started to come back and forth. My sister moved out to Woodbury, so all of a sudden I was exposed to St. Paul in a way that I had never been, because I didn't grow up in the Twin Cities. And I kept driving through Summit Avenue, and I have a design background, and I was just, design, all that stuff really just speaks to me, gets my attention. I get obsessed. And I just kept visiting Summit Avenue. I just kept driving around Summit Avenue. Mm-hmm. And then I discovered the Hill House, and then I understood, I got the very dense, very thick biography, one of them. And then I was like, wow, that's just too much for me to take on. It was really dense. It was too complicated. And then I just never stopped thinking about it. 3 years later, the NFL was kind of falling away from me. I was really not feeling interested, and I was conceiving of an idea of America's Downton Abbey. And so after, I don't know what Super Bowl it was, I was like, I'm free, because after the Super Bowl, we're kind of free to do what we want. We can stick around, but we just mainly have to show up for the preseason. So I was like, I'm going to spend the summer. And I'm saying this stuff really simply because the way it really came down, it was like these epiphanies. I'm going to do what? All of a sudden I'd be like, I'm going to Minnesota. I'm putting, at first I thought I was subletting my apartment. And then it was like, what? I'm packing this apartment up. And then the next thing you knew is I came back after being so I knew there was a story there. So I spent the summer in the Historical Society, in the Gale Library, in all those collections, because people would actually turn all their papers over to the libraries, and then they would index them, and you sit there with the white gloves, and you can read original documents from over 100 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started becoming a researcher. Then I realized you don't have to go all the way back to the source. You can find people that have done that and then written a book on that. But that was also hard because a lot of, the person paying the bill, they can make the history a little different than it actually was. And I was starting to run into a lot of that. And so, but anyways, I found this very interesting letter. And I'm not even going to tell you that because I don't want anybody else to find that letter. But it took me, James Hill had a very interesting son-in-law whose name was Sam Hill. Same last names, but he's a Harvard grad. He's from the East Coast. He's the son of a doctor, and he's an outsider. But he marries James Hill's daughter, Mamie Hill. And they have a 40-year marriage, which they were happy for about 2. But she's Catholic and they cannot divorce.
Wow.
Yeah, but James Hill, he builds this transcontinental railroad from St. Paul to the Puget Sound, and he sends, all these people out there because he's going to start making a big world out there, right? And Sam Hill actually stays out there, and so Sam Hill became such an interest to me that I ended up going out to Mary Hill Museum, where all Sam Hill's papers are down in the archives, and they let me sit there for a week and read all that. And then I go back to the NFL.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, which made me feel like I had committed a crime and I was thrown in jail.
Yeah.
And things were changing there too. There was becoming a different level of editors called predators, and I wasn't going to be part of that. And I just felt done. And I don't know, the universe made me feel more done than I was. And I made this huge decision to return to Minnesota after being gone for a very long time. And again, I still think I'm going to throw this project to some famous writer. Somebody's going to do this project. It's not me, because I obviously have no talent. But, slowly but surely I come back here and I start this big adventure where I don't know what's going to happen next. And then the third month I was here, Sundance put on a master class in short filmmaking for Film North. Did you go to that?
I heard of that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he's talking about series, and you can make a short film, and that will help pitch your series, and people quite often do that. And he starts talking about Whiplash. Whiplash was a short film. Everybody was on board already when they made Whiplash, the short film, but whatever. So all of a sudden I was like, because I kept telling people I'm never making a short film again in my life. Because they're hard. They're not. There's no back end. You're not looking for investors. You're looking for donors. You're asking people for money. You're raising money. It's really brutal. But the minute I heard that, I actually left the seminar. I was like, "Yep, that's happening." I was kind of sad. I was sad. And then next thing you know,
whatever, Sundance.
The what?
Whatever, Sundance Labs. I mean, come on.
Well, I felt like it illuminated a truth for me that I now couldn't unhear it. I couldn't unring that bell. I was like, I knew, now I'm going to be doing a short film again. And I kind of knew everything. I knew, and I was going to talk to the film board, I think. I can't remember who led me to people that started to produce my film, but I ended up with Ruth Maramis and Stephen Elbert, like a godsend. Like, we actually went to Stephen for money, and he was like, well, I got my own plans for my money and for production, but I'm really super interested in what you're doing. And he has shown up for me in many, many ways ever since shooting Master Servant. And so I think it was so that's in March that I went to Sundance, and then we actually shot on Election Day 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was just like a lot of stuff, like trying to figure out who do I work with? I didn't even know anybody in town yet, and there's a lot of really different groups, and I was super afraid, and just people who had patience with that, because I was just taking on a lot.
Yeah.
And fundraising and fiscal sponsorship and making a deal with the Hill House. We actually did shoot in the Hill House. Yeah. Did you guys see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God.
Where is it? Where can I see it?
Well, you can see it for 2 more days, which you should. You really should. We played both films on Saturday night, and together they're amazing. But Master Servant and Awakening are both part of Best of Fest for the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, so the festival ended on Sunday, but they are running until Thursday virtually.
Oh, okay.
And so
that's really nice.
Yeah. Well, what's so amazing about this is, like, we're not sending Vimeo links out because the second film does not look good on Vimeo. The Minneapolis Film Society has its own app. So if you have Roku TV or you have Apple TV, you download the app, and then you just put the code in after you purchase the ticket online, and you can watch on your TV. You can watch my short films, and they look really good.
Nice.
It's like it's been a great way for me to showcase my work.
That's excellent.
Being in that festival, yeah. I mean, because usually a festival is everybody's local, or, you know, people are flying in and then people go into a theater, and that's a very limited audience. So this festival has really blown my second film up a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So I expect you guys to watch it.
I'm going to. I'm excited about it. You amped me up with that explanation. I'm not going to lie. That sounds really interesting to me. So I'm very excited to watch this.
Yes, and you're an actress, so I can say more. I can say we had like 75 people that we auditioned. I didn't even understand like who the actors were in town that you're supposed to focus on, or who would, you know, who have a reputation for being very good. And it was so interesting that I organically did get to people that were really great actors. I mean, like Tiffany. Yeah. And then I was completely scared and freaked out about costumes because the Master Servant is 1893.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like somebody's like, you get costumes at the Guthrie or you get them at the Chanhassen Dinner Theater. And I was like, okay. And then the next thing you know, we're digging around and we find all these beautiful red and coral dresses from Hello Dolly.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, yeah. It's gorgeous. I mean, I don't know. Have you even seen any stills?
I haven't. I'm really excited about this.
You guys need to go stalk me on Facebook or something. But some really beautiful.
I have seen stills because we also had Nicole on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Tiffany. So, yeah. I would love to see the film.
I would love you to see it.
And I'll look into that. Yes.
Okay. No kidding. Transitioning a bit, Julie, who inspires you when it comes to filmmaking?
Well, isn't that funny? We were just talking about this, and I just feel, I wish I could say something completely unique and not, like I'm sure every filmmaker that's come on here has said this, because it's always the same, like 5 people. But for me, it's David Fincher. His you know, he just, every shot has so much intention, the framing, you know, he just doesn't let something, like, you know, not even Steadicam really, you know. He's always just so locked down, extreme angles. Well, he does have, now I'm thinking of Panic Room, when Jodie Foster is in the bathtub and she picks up the glass of wine and he slowly moves around the bathtub as she lifts the wine glass. It's like, that's a great Steadicam shot. But I don't know if you ever, okay, so I think technically probably the Panic Room is the most technical film he's done. And what is the word? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but I watched the one scene where they're checking out the house. The realtor takes them to the house, the property, and the blocking in that scene, I have watched it over and over again. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. So, I mean, I love Steven Spielberg for making film so accessible. He just brought he brought that real American feel, that real casual feel, like to his like it wasn't all this very proper, stiff, theatrical. I don't have all the right language, but it was just, you know, like we're hanging out in the kitchen and the kids are eating pizza and the mom is smacking something with, you know, it's just. And like you really feel like you're observing, you're hanging out, you're intruding on something that's very private. It's not for performance. So I believe for me, that was, you know, when you see E.T. or Jaws or all those great classics, he's excellent. But I do not seem to follow his filmmaking. Except score, I'm all about, I have big scores in my film. I can't do I mean, not to even put people down that do a single guitar, because there are some freaking amazing scores on just a single key, you know, a piano, like Spotlight uses just a single piano. But I love, you know, a John Williams type score. I love it.
You like that over the top, like orchestral and...
It says cinema.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be taken away. I want big production value. I want to be somewhere else when I'm watching a film. I want to detach from reality.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm with you. The score can really make or break a film for me. I actually have a playlist that I listen to on Spotify sometimes that's just like scores from different films that they're so intense, so it seems so ridiculous to listen to them on your just everyday. But
no, I do all the time.
They really, I
The
love
Last
it.
Emperor. I was freaking obsessed with that score for like ever. I could not stop playing. Yeah, it's really good.
So good.
Yeah. So, what do you love most about now that you've done it, filming in Minnesota? Like, what's been your favorite part about that, or favorite parts, I suppose?
Well, there's just a really great... So in LA, everybody's already... So you aren't allowed to move positions. In LA, you are what you are. Mm-hmm. So you have these people that hire you over and over again, and you want to be known by these people. So you can't be, I'm this week, and this week I'm that. So you're solidly booked out. Like, I know all these post supervisors, and then they would hire me, and that's where my world was. I was, in the editing world. And it's just, LA's expensive, so you just can't be, hey, I want to do a short film. Because, everybody's like, yeah, I just worked 14 hours a day on the set, every day. Because, production was nonstop. So I come here, and people are like doing commercials and industrials, and I'm like, I got this historical drama, this narrative, and people like, yeah, everybody's on board. It was like almost 75 people on Master Servant one day when we had the 25 background actors.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how people were so ready to just help. So I love that about Minnesota, that everybody's ready to help. I've found my film community here.
Great.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So had you just made the one film outside of Minnesota before coming here and doing that film, or had you
I went
made
on
a couple?
I did 4 more.
Okay.
I did. Well, one was kind of a sampling. I was pre-shooting a film, but I actually finished it, a scene, so that was kind of a whole big production. But yeah, I did Wrestling with Angels. I did A Place Called Chance. I did Shades of Grey. And I guess Wrestling with Angels twice, so that's why I'm saying that, because I think I'm not forgetting any. And then I came here, and then I made Master Servant, and then I made Awakening. And I actually directed a Z-Fest film in between, so that was super helpful as well.
Cool.
Yeah, to keep my chops up.
Mm-hmm. Which Z-Fest film was it?
I did Sarah Atkinson's. I'm like, am I saying her name wrong?
Right. Okay.
Girls' Night. We have the crazy trailer that was cut by Ryan. I'm forgetting everybody's names right now. It was like...
There are a lot of Ryans in town.
I know, everybody's Ryan. Oh, what is Ryan's last name? He's extremely talented. He's like one of the most talented filmmakers here. He did that guy drinking the chili in the snow. He was totally all about snow last year. I mean, he's always got something in Z-Fest that's winning. He did the musical about Bob Gives Notice or whatever that was.
Ryan Becken.
He is so talented.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he cut a trailer for Girls' Night that didn't go with the film because they don't have to in Z-Fest. It was kind of a grindhouse film.
He does that.
I know. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy. He's so talented.
That's fantastic.
That was a great experience, though, just to shoot somebody else's material, and it was a lot of learning.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite things, was just doing I did an adaptation film, and that was probably one of my favorite films to make, because it was different. It wasn't like this is your baby necessarily as much, but it's also your responsibility. It's just kind of like it was different. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and there's definitely less pressure because I didn't write the script, I feel so much pressure being the writer-director, Because, it's all me, right? If it sucks,
right.
There's nobody that you did it,
yeah.
It was wardrobe. It was all me.
Damn you, Chanhassen Dinner Theater.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge for you when making a film? Is it the writing? Is it or any part really?
I think it's for everybody, it's the storytelling. It's how much is too much dialogue? How much are you not developing the character? It's the writing. A lot of it's the writing. If the writing's there, it's going to work. And for me, it's just really less. And then you're saying like the actual physical part of filming is what is the biggest challenge now, because we've done 2 short films here, but I've needed a third day and I've never had a third day. So like we're just flying. At certain points, I just need the coverage or the film won't cut together.
Yeah.
So I can't focus, and that's why it's really great to work with really good people though. Because you can't tell like that there's a complete breakdown. Like we needed to move on for Awakening. We were in the dining room and we didn't realize it was such a huge part of the film, but it's actually more than half the film. And we need to get this whole montage scene, and we have to get out of there because we have to leave this historical home. We're not allowed to stay after a certain hour.
Okay.
And so it's just like, I don't have any of Nicole's coverage, and Brianna, my first, is just, come on, like whipping us. And, it was just crazy. My poor crew. But they responded, and it looks good. It looks right, even though, the lighting isn't exactly right.
Nice.
And, and we just worked with what we had. I would have liked a lot more coverage, but it worked. So that's the challenge, is getting the coverage in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like scheduling everything, just making sure you've got it, basically. So. Yeah,
and I actually missed a bunch of insert shots on Master Servant because that's just what was going on. It was, it's a lot for everybody. You know what I mean? Like we just don't have enough personnel, so things get missed. So those insert shots got missed, and so this time I actually scheduled them into the shot list. We weren't going to run around and try to grab them and be casual like that. They actually had a number.
Oh.
Yeah. So all the transitions work really well in Awakening.
Nice.
Yeah.
Julie, I'm curious, you've mentioned having had a part in multiple roles when it comes to filmmaking on a couple films, editing, obviously, directing, writing. Is there a role that maybe you haven't tried that you're intrigued by and you think, maybe someday I'll dip my toe?
No.
No?
No. Because right now, I'm the director, so I get to run the show, right? I'm the orchestra.
Right.
I'm orchestrating all this. I'm surrounding myself with extremely talented people, right, who are more talented than I am in their individual crafts, and I'm beating them up and I'm getting the best out of them. And then I take all their beautiful work and I get to make this beautiful thing. And as an editor, I've always had to deal with whatever has been put in front of me. It's not my stuff, and I don't want to go back to that. Maybe someday. I do love the costume department. Because I come from design, I have a real affinity for fashion and style. I'd hang out there for a while. I'd hang out with those ladies. Sorry if there's any male costumers. I haven't worked with you yet. All my costumers have been, you know what? Rich Hampson at Chanhassen, he's been great. I always forget because he doesn't really want to take any credit, but he designed all those dresses for Hello Dolly, and then the seamstresses sewed them up. And then we snagged them.
No kidding. What going back to sort of what Alan was asking about, the biggest challenge that you've seen when making a film, can you tell us what you really look forward to most when you start a new project?
Oh my goodness. I get very excited about doing it better. But for me, it's just that opportunity one more time to do all these things I love. I'm going to start storyboarding. I'm going to start talking to the DP. We're going to make this thing. It's going to be beautiful. The whole thing is exciting for me. I guess that's what makes me a filmmaker, because I love that. We're in pre-production right now, way pre-production on a feature film, because I'm going to make the jump to features.
Ooh.
That's exciting.
I know, and I'm excited, what's it going to look like, and where are we going to shoot, and who's going to be part of this whole thing, and it's exciting.
Yeah, the real creation.
That kind of covers what's coming up next for you. Do you have any plans of where you're where you might film that? Are you planning for Minnesota, or does it depend?
Can't film here if they don't have the tax credit, because I can't. It's so much money that goes back to the producer. You know, like say you raise $100,000 and then you're in a state that you're getting something like 28% back, and then all of a sudden that's $30,000 back, and you can't. I mean, I'm hoping that all goes, but right now we've looked into Illinois, which has the same kind of, it looks the same as Minnesota. It has that whole lake thing, because the lakes play a big part in it.
Yep.
You know, who wouldn't love to shoot here and to use the local talent? I mean, I really wish there was a way to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's razor thin right now with things.
Yeah, it's
but,
in committee, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's always been in committee. I'm hoping at least we can save the rebate, but also gain the tax credit.
I don't think the rebate is going to do much for you.
I know it won't, but I don't want nothing either. So,
well, I think we're on to the correct way this should be. I mean, I think this new incarnation by Melody Behan is good, is correct. It's doable, and it's not a handout from the state. You know, like I think people feel like the rebate is a handout, and that's just what I've heard. Because it's actually, I guess, dollars actually going to a project, and where the rebate is not actual dollars going to where the tax incentives is not actual dollars coming out of the treasury.
Right.
And I could have that completely wrong. And you'll have to just cut that out.
Okay, yeah. Well, you heard it here first. Julie Koehnen.
I'm just making it all up here. Oh my God, that's crazy.
But really, is that what's next for you? Is it a feature? Is that really where your heart is right now?
Well, okay, so Master Servant and Awakening, they are part of this TV series that I developed. It's called Summit Avenue, and it has, right now it has 13 episodes, and I was waiting for Awakening to finish, but I've been doing all sorts of stuff that has to do with pitching. You know what, I'm noticing my battery might be going dead. I have to relocate. I'm going to walk and talk.
Okay.
But putting together the deck. I don't know if you guys know what a deck is.
No, fill us in.
Well, deck is expected now. Okay, so a deck is, it's going to show a potential investor or somebody who's creative who wants to jump on board. It's going to, it's mainly talent, It's going to show them, this is the look of the film, and you fill it with beautiful images. And I actually had an opportunity to shoot a scene from this film that I'm doing. It's called A Slip of the Knot. And I had a lot of goodwill coming towards me locally, so I just was like, hey, do you guys want to shoot a scene from this feature that I want to do? And so I got Tiffany to star, and
nice.
Yeah, and we shot a scene, and so we're taking like those images and we're putting them in the deck, and we put the synopsis, and then these are the 3 actresses we think we should have. This is the budget. But you just have to make it visually appealing. It can't just be very dry and all this writing. You have to really keep the writing down to a minimum.
Oh, so like a treatment or?
No, because a treatment is an idea for something that doesn't exist yet.
Oh, okay.
But the script exists. And so it's called a deck. It's just to show you, it's like a PowerPoint presentation that's in a PDF file. And actually, I bet people do make decks on a PowerPoint that software.
Does deck stand for something specifically, or is it just?
It probably does.
Is that too tough of a question? Sorry.
I'm like, no, I don't know the origins of the deck.
Okay.
That's really interesting, though.
I mean, yeah. I cut what you call a rip-o-matic, and that was super fun. And I actually like that rip-o-matic a lot. So ripping comes from when people had DVDs, and you would take the footage off of it, and you could actually start editing the footage that was like some major film. And they used to have an app called Jack the Ripper, and that's how you ripped everything. But I mean, now there's a way to do it and whatever. But yeah, you have to find a recording or whatever, and you get all this footage. So I got footage from films that really spoke to my film. What was it? You guys are the big film buffs here. It had Kate Winslet and Patrick, whatever his name, and it's something is it Little Children?
Oh, Little Children, yeah.
So she's kind of my character. So after her daughter nearly dies of a diabetic, or I can't even remember, what's the log line? Sorry, I'm drawing a total blank. So after Marnell nearly kills her diabetic daughter, she's forced to discover whether her husband is gaslighting her or if she really is going crazy. So I have this kind of unreliable witness because Marnell is trying to figure things out, but yet she's actually got an anxiety disorder and she loses time. And there's kind of sleeping that happens, and things happen when she's sleeping. And so she starts, so like all of a sudden you don't know what's going on because everything is through her eyes, and you're like, well, was she sleeping? Did she blank out? What's happening?
Yeah.
So when I was using Little Children, Kate Winslet's character is kind of not up to par with Patrick Clark. Is that his name?
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. His wife, who's Jennifer Connelly, right? She's everything a woman should be. And then they really kind of tried to frump out Kate Winslet, which was kind of a fun idea.
Yeah.
And I kind of frumped out Tiffany. She wore unattractive clothing. Her hair was just kind of pulled back. It's hard to make her not look pretty.
Right.
But, and she was just kind of overly intense and weird, and you're like, what is going on with this woman? But anyways, yeah, back to the Rip-O-Matic. I ripped from The Others with Nicole Kidman.
Ooh, yeah.
Because that whole thing with her and her children, where she's very overprotective, and in the end, the children are like, get away from us. And I can't think of what other films I ripped from. I don't remember, but it's a very cool. Oh, Emily Blunt, Girl on a Train.
Yes.
Right? She's unreliable witness, right? Because you can't believe her because she's always drunk. And you're like, did she really see that? Is she making things up? So,
yeah, those are fantastic examples.
Yes.
To utilize in that. I love it.
Yeah, so that's a lot of my thriller is, and then everything is, she's saved when her long lost college friend Somerset shows up, who's everything that Marnell is not. But there's a twist to that as well.
Love the twist.
Yeah. So we're building that deck. And so once that deck is done, then we just start the process of talking to everybody, from money people to agents, sales agents. Can we pre-sell? Talent. Will anybody see, Marnell and Somerset need to look alike. So I really would love to talk to Bryce Dallas Howard and Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that's going on, and then I think I jumped off that I'm trying to get this series made. So I've also made the deck for that, and I've been practicing the pitch on that. I've called people around town, and I've set up appointments, and they act like the studio. And so that when I'm actually doing it, it's like I'm not ready to have a meltdown because I'm so freaked out,
Right.
Yeah, so I'm just doing all that stuff right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but it's really exciting.
It is. It's it's really hard. I mean, it's hard. I just hope something pops.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you have so much exciting coming up, and really the projects that you have so far under your belt sound really fascinating.
Thank you.
For anyone listening, and maybe myself, if people want to, see your work or reach out to contact you to, maybe work together or even just, meet up with you, get to know you more outside of this, where can they contact you or really find your work?
Well, don't ever contact me through Facebook Messenger. Because I don't ever go there. I think, Alan, that's where you contacted me. It was like one day it was like, what? Or no, was it Instagram Messenger? I was like, what?
I forget, yeah.
You youngsters and all your social media. I like it a lot when people contact me through my website because that just goes straight to me. Mm-hmm. And then I can just read it and I don't have to go digging for it. You know what I mean? Because it's coming through my emails.
Right.
I don't have to circle through all my social media stuff. So if you want to see something, I'm not putting anything up until they're done with their festival run because the festivals won't accept your film if it's posted somewhere. Like if my films were on Amazon Prime, then I wouldn't be able to get in the festivals.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the festivals are still an opportunity, some festivals, to meet the right people, to get my work in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't want to yank those off too soon. And I've been interviewed by a lot of women, younger women, trying to get into this industry. A lot of women kind of noticing that they're kind of by themselves. Mm-hmm. I had some Wisconsin student who was, I sounded Minnesotan there. I gotta cut that out. Okay. Wisconsin. She was, I think, literally the only female in her program, and I was just really feeling for her and kind of surprised that some things, I don't know what it is, but we just are, there's not a ton of us in the field. Mm-hmm. There are quite a few female filmmakers, though, here in town. I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really fantastic.
Yeah.
Love as we continue seeing that grow, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your website. For the people listening, what is that?
Okay, so if you really want to dig up on me, I make everything on Julie Koehnen, which I don't know how you're going to, am I spelling my last name here?
No, you don't have to.
Okay,
you don't have to.
Okay,
it's
good.
on the episode, so.
Yeah.
Okay. I keep everything on Facebook. I have a Ravenstream Productions Facebook page that nobody goes to. So I was like, fine.
Facebook, yeah, that's the way Facebook is, pay to play. So
yeah, it's like everybody is very receptive. I have a good audience here about what's happening with me. People are with me. And you can also go to my, I have two websites, Ravenstream Prod, because somebody had already bought the other one, Productions.
Oh, really?
So I had to just shorten that and live with it. Or no, it was Ravenstream. I couldn't get that. And I had to just make something else. So Ravenstream Prod, I try to keep that updated with what's happening. And if you want to, like, you'll see whatever laurels I've won, or like we just started production on this, we wrapped, or we were editing in LA, we put up pictures. You'll see my whole deal when you see that. Mm-hmm. And then Master Servant, we did do a web page, masterservantmovie.com. And that has listed a lot of the good things that have happened to Master Servant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
nice.
People involved. Yeah. I'm definitely out there. You can definitely find a lot about me.
That's good.
Perfect.
Sometimes.
I started with IMDb, so,
Right, which is like, it doesn't expand enough really on everything.
I know, it definitely doesn't.
Unless you're, obviously extremely successful and famous, like, I mean, when I'm
and
there,
have a
that will be,
publicist, things like that, Okay, Julie, one last question. What do you want people to remember most about you?
Well, I'll just say, as a filmmaker, I'll speak what I want people to remember me for would be to say that I created deep, compelling, beautifully shot movies.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
I'm not playing. Like I'm just really in there. I mean, you'll see my films. They're just the art direction, all that stuff is really. I got my head around it. Like I really work with these really great people, and I really pull such amazing work. They have so much talent. The people I've worked with. I'm not attracted to a film. Like I'll never be somebody that could, unless you can teach me how to make it look really beautiful. I just need a lot of production value. It's hard to just like even my a place called Chance, which is contemporary. My art team spent the whole night making over this apartment to look like a really slick New York pad, like it was just this humble bungalow in Burbank, California. but everybody had big ideas, and I was like, yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Julie, thank you so much for taking the time and hopping on our little podcast and chatting with us. It's been really cool getting to meet you and get to know more about you and your films. I'm really excited to see your films.
I know. Yeah. I'm excited for you guys. It's kind of like, wow, you haven't seen my films. I can't wait. Now you've heard me go la 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 about them, and I'm like, can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. They sound fascinating. So,
well, you could watch for half an hour tonight, and you could knock out both of them.
I love
there
it.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you, everyone, for hopping on and listening. And we will catch you next time for Film in Minnesota.